What if I told you that right now your dog could be silently saying goodbye, and you are completely missing it? It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? We think we know our dogs better than anyone, but when the end comes, they speak a language most of us don't understand until it's too late. There are 7 specific signs, silent whispers, that appear weeks before the final moment. Recognizing them isn't just about being smart. It's the difference between your dog passing away in fear and confusion or leaving this world feeling safe and loved. The clock is ticking. You need to see this now. Dogs cannot speak. They cannot look you in the eye and say, "I am leaving." But their body screams it. The first sign appears weeks before the end, and it starts with a change in behavior that is so subtle, most people brush it off as a bad mood. Your dog stops looking for the places they always rested. That corner by your bed, the sofa where they spent every afternoon, the rug under the window where the sun hits just right. Suddenly, they are empty. You find them under the table behind the heavy furniture in the bathroom or in any dark, secluded spot where they almost never stayed before. And when you try to get them out, they go right back to hiding. The first reaction most of us have is to think they are annoyed, or that something scared them, or maybe it's just a phase. But here is the heartbreaking truth that almost no one knows. This change in resting patterns is not an accident. It comes from an instinct as ancient as the species itself. In the wild, a sick or injured wolf would distance itself from the pack before dying. This wasn't because they felt rejected. It was an act of love and protection. They did it to avoid attracting predators to their family. That same genetic program is still active in your dog thousands of years later. When their body begins to fail, their brain commands them to seek a secluded shelter, a place where they can rest, without interruptions, where no one can see them vulnerable. Veterinarians specializing in canine behavior confirm that this progressive isolation appears between 3 and 6 weeks before the end. It is one of the first indicators of severe internal deterioration. And what destroys me is how most owners respond. They drag them out by force. They carry them back to their bed. They close the doors so they can't hide. Every time they do this, the dog's stress level skyrockets. Cortisol floods their system, their heart rate rises, and instead of resting, they waste precious energy looking for another place to feel safe. If your dog starts hiding in unusual places, please do not force them out. Approach slowly. Sit on the floor near them without touching them. Speak in a low voice. Let them feel your presence without invading their space. That dark corner they chose might be where they spend their last days, and your quiet company is the only thing separating their fear from their peace. The second sign is more subtle, and when you finally recognize it, you realize it has been there much longer than you thought. Your dog stops getting excited about the things that always made them happy. That ball they chased until they collapsed is left lying in the same spot for days. The sound of the leash no longer makes them run to the door. Their favorite treats remain untouched in the bowl. When you try to play, they barely lift their head, look at you with tired eyes, and go back to sleep. Most people interpret this as temporary depression, as a bad day that will pass. They try everything, changing food, cooking chicken, but nothing works. And here is what almost no one understands. It is not that your dog has suddenly lost their appetite or their love for fun. What is happening is much deeper. When a dog enters their final weeks of life, their body redirects all available energy towards basic vital functions: the heart, the lungs, the brain. Everything else becomes secondary. The endorphins that were once released during play are no longer produced in the same quantities. Dopamine receptors in the brain decrease their activity. What used to generate pleasure now simply does not register. It is not that your dog has lost interest in you. It is that their nervous system is slowly shutting down. Researchers at Cornell University documented that terminally ill dogs show a 60% decrease in the activity of neurotransmitters related to pleasure. Their brain literally cannot feel excitement in the same way. But the interesting thing is that although they stop responding to external stimuli, they still respond to something very specific, your physical presence near them. Studies with heart monitors show that when the owner sits next to the dog without forcing interaction, their heart rate stabilizes, their breathing becomes more regular, and stress hormones go down. If your dog no longer chases the ball or gets excited about walks, do not force them to fake energy they do not have. Sit by their side. Stroke their chest with slow movements. Let them rest while feeling your warmth. Because even if they can no longer run, like before, your silent company is still what they need most. And this is where many owners make another mistake without realizing it. They confuse lack of enthusiasm with lack of love. They think that because they no longer jump, no longer run to the door, no longer insist on playing their dog, no longer loves them the same. And that is not only false, it is unfair to them. Your dog did not stop loving you. They stopped having the strength to show it like before. They can no longer waste energy on explosions of joy. Now they save it for minimal things, standing up one more time to change position, reaching the water bowl, lifting their head when they feel you really need it. If you pay attention, you will notice small details. Maybe they no longer run when you shake the leash, but they still lift their tail a little when they hear your voice. Maybe they no longer pursue the ball, but they move their ear when you approach. These minimal gestures are their new way of telling you, I am still here with you. Do not ignore these changes just because they do not look like the ones you knew. They are just as valuable, even more so, because they cost them much more effort. In this stage, it is very important that you do not force them to act like a healthy dog. Do not provoke them to jump. Do not scold them for not playing. Do not compare them to how they were before. Instead, adapt your way of showing affection. If before love was long runs now, it can be sitting on the floor next to their bed. If before it was intense games now, it can be gentle massages on the chest or behind the ears. If before it was hour-long walks now, it can be just a few minutes in the sun at their pace, letting them sniff the air and feel the world without having to exert themselves. It is also normal for you to feel conflicted. Part of you wants to accept that they are tired, and another part wants to believe that if you cheer them up enough, they will go back to being who they were. That is where you must make a difficult but necessary decision. Listen to what their body is telling you, not what your fear wants to hear. If you learn to see this second sign as a message, and not as a betrayal, you will be able to do something much more beautiful, accompany them without demanding that they continue pretending to have the same energy as always. Then appears the third sign, the hardest to accept, for those who truly love their dog. Your dog's gaze changes. It doesn't become sad. It becomes distant, as if they were seeing something you cannot perceive. Their eyes lose that shine you recognized instantly. They no longer seek you with the same urgency. When you speak to them, they take a long time to turn their head. When you move around the room, they do not follow you with their eyes like before. It is as if they were slowly disconnecting from the physical world. And the most disturbing thing is that sometimes they stay motionless, with their eyes open, fixed on a point on the wall, breathing slowly, completely still. In those moments, many owners feel a mix of fear and rejection. Some avoid looking them in the eye because the new expression hurts too much. Others try to joke or distract themselves as if ignoring that look would make what is happening disappear. But that apparent disconnection is not a reproach towards you. It is the result of a brain that is entering a phase of maximum energy saving. But here is the part that will break your heart. Veterinary neurologists explain that this happens because the brain of a dying dog enters a state of extreme conservation. Non-essential cognitive functions begin to shut down. The ability to process visual stimuli decreases drastically. The hippocampus, the region responsible for memory and recognition, starts to fail. It is not that your dog has forgotten you. It is that their brain no longer has the energy to maintain all connections active. The devastating thing is that although visual and cognitive areas are compromised, the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, continues to function. MRI studies in geriatric dogs show that even when they cannot process your image clearly, your voice still activates profound emotional responses. That means that even if they look at you with that empty expression, even if they do not react when you enter the room, a part of their brain still recognizes you, still feels your presence, still calms down when it hears your voice. Here is where your role becomes more important than ever. Maybe you no longer get the immediate response you would like. Maybe you call their name and they take time to react or do not turn their head. And yet, inside, something moves when they hear you. Therefore, even if you feel it makes no sense to speak to them, you must do it. You can tell them what you did during the day. Remind them of moments you lived together. Say out loud what you never said when everything was fine, that they changed your life, that you loved them, that they were not just a dog. Your voice becomes a thread that keeps them connected to this side while their body shuts down. Do not underestimate the power of saying their name with affection, even when it seems they do not respond. If your dog looks at you with those distant eyes, do not assume you are no longer there for them. Talk to them even if they do not turn their head, even if they seem lost. Your voice is reaching a part of their brain that still works, and that part is what keeps them connected to you in their last days. You can also use physical contact very carefully. There are dogs that in this phase appreciate feeling your hand on their chest or on their back. Others become uncomfortable if the pain is very strong. Observe them. If they sigh and relax when you touch them, stay there. If they tense up or try to move away, respect that limit. Sometimes your presence half a meter away without touching them comforts them more than any hug. Now let's talk about the fourth sign, a new one that often goes unnoticed but is critical. This is the loss of temperature regulation. Have you noticed your dog shivering even when the room is warm? Or perhaps seeking out cold tile floors even when they are shivering? As the body shuts down, the circulatory system prioritizes vital organs, the heart and brain. Blood is pulled away from the extremities, the paws, the ears, and the skin. This means your dog loses the ability to keep themselves warm. Their paws might feel ice-cold to the touch. Their ears might feel cool. Conversely, sometimes they might pant excessively as their internal thermostat breaks. This isn't just getting old, this is the body's final energy conservation mode. What you need to do here is become their external thermostat. If they are cold, gently cover them with a light warm blanket, but ensure it's not too heavy, as weight can be painful on aching joints. Use a heating pad on a low setting, but place a towel over it so it doesn't burn their thin skin. If they are panting and seeking cool, don't force them onto a warm bed. Let them lay on the cool floor, but place a thin sheet under them to protect their bones. Your job is to make them comfortable when their own body can no longer do it. There is another critical sign, number 5, that you might mistake for a messy accident. Incontinence. It happens. You wake up and find a wet spot where they slept, or they soil themselves while lying down and don't even move away from it. This is profound. For a dog, especially a house-trained one, hygiene is instinctual. They do not want to soil their den. When this happens, it means their neuromuscular control is fading. They literally cannot feel or control the muscles that hold their bladder. The tragedy is seeing owners get angry. They scold the dog. They say, "Bad dog." Can you imagine the shame and confusion the dog feels? They know they did something wrong by their training, but they couldn't stop it. They are already losing their dignity. Do not take away their pride. If this happens, never ever scold them. Clean it up quietly without making a fuss. Use puppy pads under them. Keep their fur clean and dry to prevent urine scald, which is painful. Tell them it's okay. Reassure them. Your reaction here defines their last days. Will they feel ashamed, or will they feel cared for? But there is something even more critical that you need to recognize. A sign that leaves no room for doubt. The sixth sign confirms that time is running out and has to do with something as basic as breathing. Your dog begins to breathe irregularly. It is no longer that constant, soft, predictable rhythm you heard when they slept by your side. Now there are pauses, long silences between one inhalation and another that make you approach to confirm they are still alive. Sometimes they breathe fast, almost panting, even though they have made no effort. Other times their breathing is so slow and shallow that the movement of their chest is barely noticeable. This erratic pattern has a name in veterinary medicine. It is called Cheyne-Stokes respiration, and it is one of the most reliable terminal signs that exist. What is happening internally is that the respiratory center of the brainstem is losing its ability to regulate oxygen and carbon dioxide in the blood. The cardiovascular system is failing. The heart no longer pumps with the necessary efficiency. Tissues do not receive enough oxygen, and the brain, in a desperate attempt to compensate, alternates between hyperventilation and apnea. Veterinarians specializing in palliative care confirm that this respiratory pattern appears between 3 and 7 days before death. But here comes what no one tells you, and this changes everything. During those last irregular breaths, your dog is fully conscious. They know what is happening. Their body is failing, but their mind still processes. And what they need most in those moments is not a veterinarian, not medication. It is your physical presence. Researchers discovered that dogs who die accompanied by their owner maintain significantly lower cortisol levels than those who die alone. The simple presence of the person they loved all their life reduces their suffering in a way no drug can replicate. In those final moments, the environment also matters. They do not need loud television, nor people coming and going, nor bright lights. They need calm. You can dim the light a little, close the door to reduce noise, create a kind of nest around them. Their blanket, perhaps, their favorite toy, a place where they do not have to struggle for anything. If there are children at home, it is also important to explain to them with simple words what is happening, not to traumatize them, but to teach them something almost no one teaches, that accompanying a being who is leaving is an act of love, not a spectacle to run away from. You can invite them to pet them gently, to say thank you, to say goodbye in their own way. If your dog starts breathing in that irregular way, do not leave them alone. Lie down next to them. Place your hand on their chest so they feel your warmth. Talk to them. Tell them they were extraordinary, that they fulfilled their purpose, that they can rest when they are ready, because many dogs hold on until their owner gives them permission. And if you never give it to them, they will die fighting against the inevitable, believing they are failing you. And then arrives the seventh sign, the one no one tells you about until it is too late. The one that separates a peaceful death from an agonizing one. And it has to do with something that is completely in your hands. Your dog is waiting for you. They are not waiting to feel better. They are waiting for you to tell them they can go. Dogs have an extraordinary ability to read the emotional state of their owners, and when they perceive that their death will destroy you, they do everything possible to prolong their existence. Even if every second is suffering, even if their body is completely destroyed, they hold on because they believe their job is to protect you from pain. Animal behavior studies confirm that dogs whose owners do not accept imminent death remain in a state of alertness and tension until the end. They do not rest, they do not surrender. They simply endure day after day, waiting for a signal that never comes. Their cortisol levels remain high, their heart rate does not go down, and although their body is exhausted, their mind does not allow them to let go. But dogs whose owners have a clear, honest, definitive conversation where they tell them out loud that they understand what is happening, that they do not have to keep fighting, that it is okay to rest, that you are not angry, that you will always remember them. Those dogs show an immediate change. Their muscles relax, their breathing calms down, and in many cases, they die a few hours later, as if they had been waiting for exactly those words. It is not a coincidence. It is liberation. Your dog needs to hear from your mouth that they can go, that their job of taking care of you is finished, that it was enough that you loved them until the last second, and that when they feel it is the moment, they can close their eyes without fear. If your dog is in their last days and you have not yet said those words to them, do it now. Even if it sounds absurd, even if you think they do not understand, you do it anyway, because your voice is the last thing they will recognize before leaving, and those words are the last gift you can give them. These 7 signs do not appear all at once. They install themselves slowly, one after another, as if your dog were writing their goodbye in a language only you can read. And the majority ignore them until they open their eyes one morning, and their dog no longer breathes. Then they begin to remember the strange places where they slept, the food they rejected, the lost gaze, the irregular breathing, the shivering paws, the accidents. And they realize that the signals were there all the time, only they chose not to see them. Do not make that mistake. If your dog is showing even one of these signs, the time has already started moving faster than you think. And what you do in the next few days will define how you will remember that moment for the rest of your life. Whether you accompanied them with presence and love, or if you left them to depart alone, waiting for you to return. Because the hardest truth is this: your dog can forgive you anything, but you will never forgive yourself for not being there when they needed you most. I want to know who we are honoring today. Please go to the comments right now and type your dog's name. Let's fill the comment section with the names of the loyal souls who have loved us more than they loved themselves. And if you want to continue learning to read what your dog is trying to tell you, watch the video appearing on the screen.